still 30 minutes left of the film. 30 minutes! I felt like I got anal raped by fucking Martians.
Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike, he's Jay. Friday the 13th, 2009, motherfucking reboot titties.
Remake that shit, motherfuckers, and you did it very well. You did it very well. I liked it. I enjoyed it because this time Jason is living off the land. He's not supernatural. You know, I have a problem with that a little bit, but we'll get into that a little later on. But, you know, look, for what they had, I appreciate it.
Well, dude, it's a weird time because this is kind of what I think we're going to get back into now that it's come out and it's doing so well at the box office and Halloween's been announced, it's coming out. There was a weird moment there in the early 2000s where they started to remake all these. Michael Bay got involved with Platinum Dunes. They did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake of that, which was actually pretty damn good. They used the same director of that for this. Something funny about this one is that Michael Bay produced it with Platinum Dunes, but he walked out halfway through the screening because he said there
wasn't enough explosions.
No, he said there was too many titties. He said there was too much titties. I can't handle these titties.
So you cast Megan Fox in Transformers with crotch shots galore, and that's too much for your sensitive fucking flower ears.
I like belly buttons, not titties.
At the very beginning of the movie, the very beginning when it opens up with the shot, it's not, you know, we see Pamela Voorhees, it says 1980. You know, we see Crystal Lake, she's tracked the last counselor down, she's telling her about Jason. She's like, I didn't do anything, you crazy bitch. And she's like, it doesn't matter, you should have been watching him. You actually see Jason in watching his mother get decapitated, but it's cool how they shot that scene specifically because it's like strobe effect. It's kind of like flashing a little bit as the credits are coming on screen, and it's cool. It looked really badass. I'm like, I'm in for a treat.
It's a lot like what they did with the Amityville Horror remake, which a lot of people don't like. I enjoy that movie for what it is, but they did a lot of like backstory really quick with that scene, and it looked good.
That's all you got to do. You don't have to, like, they were like, we don't need to go through years of fucking what Jason is. What they did with Jason was really cool because what they made Jason essentially was just a guy that lives off the land. You know, he doesn't have, you know, interactions with people at all. He's been out there alone, feral as fuck, and if you invade his space, he's gonna kill you. And that was a cool thing.
They went back to old Baghead Jason.
I love the Baghead part.
You actually get Baghead Jason for a little bit of this, but again, something that is a running theme through this entire movie for me is like, even though you get Baghead Jason, the way it's filmed, it's just so glossy that it still didn't feel like Baghead Jason to me. Like, we talked about wanting to see an entire Baghead Jason remake. Like, that would be fun for me, I think. But you get them for moments, and first off, the entire opening scene in this movie is so fucking awesome. It was great. It was fucking ballsy. It was new. It threw ties into the old.
Fuck, dog.
Yeah, it was fresh. Old Spice!
Fresh to death!
My son likes Old Spice!
There was one moment, like, when Jason comes on screen, at the very last shot, when he slices that bitch up, I felt like Terry Crews, like, power! I felt really fucking good, dude.
That's what it is, though. You get this whole new group of campers, and going into the movie for the first time, you think these are typical Friday the 13th characters. These are going to be the people we follow. They weren't even that bad. Like, some of them, I would have rather followed some of them.
All they're doing, they're not even really campers. I mean,
they're looking for some pot.
Crystal Lake has been closed down for fucking years. Like, we're in present day now. These guys are just up there because they heard about a patch of land that grows really good pot, like marijuana, and they're gonna steal it and take it and sell a bunch of shit, and they're all up there just having a good time for that reason alone. But Jason, it's like, not in my house, and he's like, no, I've been smoking that weed, and you're not gonna get my fucking stash. But it was, dude, when he appears on screen for the first time, the death scenes are badass because the death scenes, they used like ingenuity with the death scenes. I mean, it was like Jason was a goddamn great Cub Scout because he was able to lay bear traps. He fucking set things.
He was a survivalist.
He set things up. Yeah, exactly. And he knew how to fucking take them down. And he was big as fuck too. But dude, I mean, God.
You get the smart kid who goes into the woods, like the smart, weird, like conspiracy theory kid. He goes into the woods. By the way, the girls at the beginning of this movie are Jesus Christ. Like, that one girl's talking to him and she's like showing him her titties and stuff like that.
That guy was great. Like, I'm gonna fuck
that shit was pure Michael Bay, like just the way it was filmed. It was Michael Bay. And even when Michael Bay doesn't direct these films, they have the Michael Bay look to him, and that did. But the dude goes out into the woods because his friends are wanting to fuck. And they even give you the girl who's like, I should be at home taking care of my mom. You know, I should be doing that. They give you like the hero girl, the final girl. Yeah. They totally just fucking throw a ruse over your eyes and then fuck you in the ass in a great way. I didn't mean for it to sound that way when I said it, but it did. I'm confused.
You guys been in jail?
What happened was, hey man, you ever seen the Soul Suds crawling down a crack of another man's ass in the
That's
shower?
a naughty jungle of love. Naughty! Naughty!
But that's what they did. They totally threw you off, and it was amazing. Because the first kill is the conspiracy theory guys goes out there, he finds the weed, and he's like, oh, fuck yeah, I love this shit. And I felt bad for him because everybody else had someone to have sex with and he didn't.
He was thinking about how he's gonna get rich.
But he found his weed.
Yeah. He didn't care. He don't need no pussy right now. He's on there for business.
He found his weed and then he dies really quick, but then they're trying to have sex in the tent. And it's actually Jason standing around there watching.
They were doing it doggy style.
They were doing it
like,
crazy.
I mean, I was like, that's fucking hot, man. You guys are having a hot sexual right now in Jason. Like, this is the hottest sex scene in a Jason movie, period. I mean, that was, yeah, it was pretty hot.
She was oiled up. She oiled up.
I like that oiled.
She oiled it in front of the camera.
But when Jason...
You saw the pre-WCW fight with the oil.
Well, see, when Jason first makes his first kill against the conspiracy theory guy, and I don't know his name, I'm sorry. I don't remember his name. But he kills his ass. You don't really see it. You just see him kind of... But you do see a different version of... Because he's running. He hop steps. He's like, I can't wait to kill you. Like, he's fucking... fuck yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then you get to the scene where they're fucking in the tent. Also, in the meantime, interspersed with Whitney going with her boyfriend, finding Jason's house and exploring that.
Honestly, you have an infamous serial killer who's done crazy shit before, and they just leave his house sitting there with his bed made up and it says Jason on it. That was a little bit too
At least we know that Jason sleeps.
That was just a little bit too perfect for me.
He curls up after a hard day.
And then they
work.
find the locket with his mom, and they find that, and it was a cool ode to Friday the 13th Part 2, where they find the head in the wall and stuff like that. But still, at the same time, it was a little bit too clean and perfect. But
in the meantime, though, when the doggy style shit's going on, and he, you know, after the dude's like, I'm not going out there with a boner. Like, I feel his pain. Like, you don't want to go outside you have a boner. You don't want to go outside looking for your friend that may be looking. He's like, fuck it, just let him watch. And he's like, go out there because you're not getting it. He's like, fuck. So he goes out there to look for his friend that's already been dead. But she's in the tent waiting around. Jason shows up, you know, wraps her up in a sleeping bag. When dude comes back to find out what's going on, she's like hung over the fire pit, like burning alive. He goes to save her, and this is where the bear trap comes involved. He had set that trap to wait.
Yeah.
So he gets, you know...
It's where that survivalist shit comes in.
He gets caught in that bear trap, and he's screaming, and she's cooking alive.
It was
dude,
dark.
that was a fuck... I was like, oh.
Yeah, it was dark, dude.
Damn!
They actually show this girl...
You're an Eagle Scout.
They show her burning alive inside of this thing, and then the dude with the nasty effect on his leg with the bear trap, and you're like, fuck, we are in for some real shit. This is Faces of Death 9. It's actually fucking happening, and I was in, because with these remakes, when you get them, you're watching them, and you just expect it to be popcorn bubblegum bullshit. Yeah. But that scene was actually really disturbing, and it really just honed you in. You're like, okay, fuck yeah, this is gonna be a great movie, and it's actually kind of not.
Well, it's all right.
But it was the best opening of any of these movies.
Right.
It was one of the best openings in all the slasher franchises. It was so fucking badass that they led you to believe this was what the movie was going to be about. And really, honestly, like when you go and you look at it, you could do a Jason film so simple that it could be that. Like, that could be a Jason film.
Yeah.
And these people are having such a hard time making a Jason film, and I just want to go to the opening. That was 20 minutes long. Like, it was a short. And it had everything you wanted in a Jason film, just wrapped in a short. These other movies where they veer off, they spend too much time on the wrong shit. It gets boring. It gets the same old chase shit. This was 20 minutes, and if you take that and you make it its own movie, it's one of the best Jason movies in the entire franchise.
I think where they get tripped up on is the fact that, are you going to make Jason supernatural, or are you going to make him a normal dude?
And they don't. And
he's a normal dude, but it worked really well. And we'll get into exactly why that worked so well for Jason in this movie. Jason goes back to find out these people have been rummaging through his home, and he's under the floorboards and starts stabbing up to kill the boyfriend. That was a fucking cool scene. It was intense. Like, a lot of the very beginning of this movie is very, very fucking intense, very atmospheric, very intense. And then she's looking at it, and this is the point dude, this is the Terry Crews power moment. When Jason like looks at her, she's backing away, and he like runs at her and fucking has that machete. Dude, that was like fucking Grayskull, give me the strength. Like, it was so cool. It was so badass. Like, he was so raw.
And then you get the title drop.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit,
dude,
Greg.
It was fucking raw. I'm like, what are we in for in this street? I mean, it was really nice. Like, I was like, this is fucking cool.
And then after the
things
title
happen.
drop, you get the actual, oh, we're going to try to make a story out of it. Jared Padalecki from fucking Supernatural.
I never watched that show, but I know everybody loves it.
He's in several horror movies. Like, I've watched some of it because my wife likes it a lot. Yeah, well, I like him. Like, he's a cool guy or whatever. But in this movie, he's looking for his sister, who was the girl in the main one. And one of the main problems I have with this movie is, spoiler review, spoiler alert, Jason kept her. He put her in his basement. I don't like that. I don't understand it.
It's Hills Have Eyes shit.
What the fuck? Like, this is a Jason movie.
I was gonna put my dick in you.
You've been so ballsy up to this point, and then eventually you find out she's still alive, and you're like,
I mean, when was the last time that Jason really took a prisoner? Like, ever? Did it even? I don't think that even happened before.
That's a bit much, Greg.
But we'll get to that.
Fuck you, Greg.
We'll get to that point, Greg. Fuck you. Put on that helmet. Fuck you, Greg. Put on those pads, Greg.
He's looking for his sister on his motorcycle, and then he runs into the group of Crystal Lake partiers, led by class ass a-hole fucking Karate Kid bad guy douchebag. Your tits are so juicy, dude. The main dude, Hoyt.
No, it's Trent.
It should be Hoyt.
It's Trent. No, Trent's a good douchebag name. I mean, that guy was so douchebaggy, I think he got a PhD in fucking thing. I thought you had to go to school to get the PhD of that douchebaggery, but he is pure douchebag, and I gotta love him for that.
This is a reboot, remake, whatever, but he is maybe the douchiest douche hat that ever
But I loved
in a
him.
douche
In a way, I kind of like him.
He actually just fucking, he carries that douche torch like a motherfucker.
Like, he's the leader of the pack, right?
I am douche
And all we've got is a bunch of high school or college kids going to his cabin near Crystal Lake.
He just wanted to bring him there to show him how much money he had.
Pretty
he
much.
Didn't even like any of them.
That's it. We've seen this a million times. But he stops at the gas station. That's where Jared Padalecki is there. You know what his name is in the movie? He's got a good douchebag name too, Clay. Yeah. His name's Clay. Clay.
I whittled this out of wood.
When I get nervous, I whittle. But no, he's in the gas station that they stop at. Asking the owner if he can put up the missing flyers, and he's like, no. But dude, fucking Trent has got the best. He's like, are you gonna buy anything, bro? Because you've been yapping all day long. I'm just kind of wondering. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll move away. And he was like, then he looks at the guy and he was like, you all right? You having a good day?
Yeah, well, because he had
you okay, bro?
He had that moment though, like it was actually a real moment in this movie where when someone's a dick to you and they're just openly a fucking asshole, at first you might just be taken aback and you're like, oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
That's too much though.
But then Jared Padalecki's character was standing there and he was thinking, no, fuck this, and he was like, well, I guess I'm an asshole then.
Yeah, Clay was getting embarrassed by that chick from The Flash. By the way, that chick from The Flash TV series is in this too.
Yeah.
And that's Trent's fucking girlfriend, which makes zero sense. But anyhow,
I'll talk about that in a second.
But Trent is like, you know, it's funny because after he buys it, he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. You know, because Clay moved aside so he could buy his shit. And Trent's like, you okay, man? You having a good day, bro? And he's like, first off, I'm not your bro. He's like, oh, we're not gonna hang out after this? We're not gonna be friends? I'm like, God, dude, you've got a fucking master's degree.
Supreme douche.
You PhD masters, you're a fucking 5,000 douchebag. I cannot get over the fact that you're a douche. And we have the typical, we have an Asian guy in it. We have a fucking black guy in it. We have fucking Willa, that one, I wanna be bad with you, baby. That girl's in it.
What?
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what that
is. Willa Ford. Willa Ford is one of the Chelsea. She's, oh God, I hate that name. That was my ex-wife's name. But Chelsea, Willa Ford, the girl that sang "I Want to Be Bad with You, Baby," a fucking popular song, I think late '90s or.
No.
Yeah. She's hot as fuck. She's the blonde girl with the tits out.
Oh, she's the one that he wants to come back as her butt button.
No.
Oh.
No, that's Brie. She's the girl that goes out on the ski boat.
I digress.
No, yeah. That's she's a singer.
Weird.
But anyhow, so
don't care.
But we see Clay going through his he's doing the fucking best of the best thing with his motorcycle, driving off into the sunset and dusk and asking people door to door. Have you seen my sister? You get one shot of an old lady like, people don't want me left alone. If you leave him alone, he'd leave you alone. Don't fuck with me.
She should have said you're all doomed. Just for a throwback. That would have been neat.
She's basically Ralph, and he's like, who? And he's like, close the door.
I gotta make stew.
In the meantime, we're at the cabin, and douchebag Trent's like, "This is my house. This is my house. That's my pool table. No big deal." It's very over the top, douchey kingdom. Yeah. But it's typical. It's standard.
But I have to talk about his girlfriend real quick. The girl from The Flash, who ends up with Jared Padalecki's character. Like, fuck her. Like, you know what? Fuck her. I hate it when movies do this. You expect me to, like, believe in this character, like, oh, she's a good girl, she's just trying. In real life, okay, if she was that nice of a person, if she was so fucking sweet, she would have never been with that guy in the fucking first place.
Well, you know what? I will say yes to you, my friend, because I don't like the fact that when Jared, when Clay gets to the fucking house after he's made his rounds, after he talked to that weird guy in the barn wanting to sell him weed, that fucking guy with weird teeth and shit, he made his way to Trent's house, and she's like, come inside for a drink. He's like, I don't think your boyfriend would really appreciate that.
And he
like,
wouldn't.
And then I mean, that's obvious.
Why are you gonna put me in that awkward fucking
Why are you
position?
being a bitch? And then he's like, I just, you know, look, can you just take my flyer?
Do you have slice? If you have slice, I'll come in.
Well, whatever. Can you just
We have slice.
No, can you just take my flyer and be on your way? Like, no, come on. It'd be okay, seriously.
Yeah.
You just embarrassed him in front of Trent and everybody else.
What you think was gonna happen?
Why would you do that? That's not your house. Why are you doing? That's not your home. But
where my children play with the toys.
But you did that anyway. Like, and you thought what? That he was gonna be like, oh yeah, man, have a beer, have a sit down with me after you just experienced his fucking assholiness at the gas station.
I actually understand where Trent was coming from in that position. He's
yeah,
like,
I would too.
Me and this dude just had a rendezvous in the fucking gas station, and then you invited him into my house.
That girl was a low-key slut.
But later on, he was like, you were just running through the woods, fucking throughout the whole woods, and she was like, well, what? Well, but you have to expect that.
Well, that guy,
she was clearly like in love with this
that
fucking
girl
dude
was
the second he showed up.
It had to be.
But if she was such a good girl, what was she doing with Trent's douchebag ass in the first place?
What I want to talk about really quick also is the fact that we were introduced to an underground Viet Cong goddamn secret clubhouse that Jason has built, and this is where I like. Jason has built this underground tunnels that, like, you know, he has bells and shit. He has like, danger signs for people like cross. He has traps set up everywhere, so if people cross a certain section of the of Crystal Lake, he'll know it's happening, and he can move. And he has, again, a Viet Cong fucking
Because no one's
tunnel
out there looking for him.
Well, yeah, but he's underground. Like, he's fucking underground. And that's where we also find Whitney. She's been kept there for a while, for 6 months. I bet her ass stinks. But Jason uses...
Jason's got a good toilet paper.
Jason uses this... Yeah, I'm sure he gives her triple Charmin.
Triple roll.
But he used this tunnel to, like, navigate around Crystal Lake. And that was pretty cool to see. Like, again, it goes back to the fact that Jason isn't supernatural. He uses these tunnels to move around Crystal Lake and seemingly appear out of nowhere that looks like he's teleporting.
And they made him a little boy who saw his mom die. They didn't go back to him jumping out of the lake and he's living there.
Did you feel kind of bad for him? I kind of felt bad at the beginning, no, because he goes over and picks up his, the whole thing, and I'm like,
I go back to the same thing though. Like, if he's been dead for this long,
he's not been dead. I think he didn't drown.
But why is his mom killing people if he's still alive? Just take care of your fucking kid.
Based on that idea, is that maybe
was he hiding from his mom?
Maybe.
It's still a huge gray area.
It's crazy, but that was cool to see that they had that set up. And again, it goes back and it reiterates the fact that Jason is not supernatural and he lives off the land. Cut to Nolan and fucking Willa Ford from I Want to Be Bad With You, Baby. Goddamn, she's fucking hot. That Chelsea chick, the one that is on the ski boat, fucking hot.
He takes his boat.
Yeah, but it was a cool another douchebag moment. He's like, take my boat. Because, his girlfriend, before Jared Palicki had shown up, had said, why did you even invite him here? He's like, okay, I'll prove it to you. He's like, take my truck. You know what? Take my truck and you can have my boat. And he's like, don't drive my boat. Only I drive my boat.
Yeah.
And then, in the meantime,
the supreme douche sorcery continues.
Nolan says, I'm gonna fucking drive his boat.
I like that guy.
He's like, I'm gonna drive his boat. Like, that's that's gonna happen.
He's like, what does it say about me that as soon as he told me not to drive his boat, I was gonna drive his boat?
Right.
And she was like, because you're fucking hot.
They're driving their boat. She took her fucking, she has her tits flying. I love that part because he's driving the boat.
I always wanted to water ski with my boobies out.
No, but he's riding the boat and he's like, oh shit. He's like, that's fucking awesome. And he's like, I am so getting laid. And
today was a good day.
Like, that kind of scared me because it came out of nowhere and an arrow goes in his fucking head. And then because at that point she'd already fallen off the skis. And there's a lot of.
Did you fucking hear that?
Yeah, there's a lot of.
What was that?
I hope it's not Blair Witch.
What the fuck was that?
Because I'm leaving if it is.
Seriously, is there a monkey out here?
I didn't touch your fucking voodoo dolls.
Is it an owl?
Did you?
You heard it, right? It was like.
Yeah, I heard it too. Leave us alone!
We have guns.
What are you waiting for? So,
by guns, I mean
she takes her boobs off. She falls off the boat. After the arrow, she's like, hey, come over here. The boat keeps driving, knocks her in the fucking head, because she'd fallen off her. Then Jason, this was a cool scene. Jason's stalking her. He's just standing. The way they shot that, and he's just standing in the woods. He pulls out his machete, and she's like, what do you want from me? She starts swimming away.
Yeah.
Then on the deck scene.
It was cool, dude, because it was really cool because I actually thought what would have been a better kill in that scenario was where she'd just been hit by the boat and she wasn't dead, but she was almost unconscious. It would almost be scarier to be out in the lake in the middle, like far from shore,
Yeah.
and to be going unconscious and trying to stay awake because you know if you pass out you're gonna drown. And that was originally the intention, but that
cool,
was
yeah.
creepier to me, and I was actually feeling creeped out in that scene. And then the last thing you see is Jason standing there just fucking
Well, I
watching
like that.
down.
I like
and
the,
you never know.
I like the boardwalk walk.
You never know.
I like the boardwalk walk. Because he's walking on the
It ended up
boardwalk
way
and she's
cooler.
looking up
Yeah.
at the camera and then slice the fucking machete, knock her head. And I thought it was
But
funny.
he pulls her up just so you can see her
Just so you can see
titties.
her tits. I was like, gotta have that tit shot. But she dies and they're dead. And
This
now,
one's for the fans.
And now, yeah, it's like, nod. Then they see Jason walking through with the body. And we, you know, at that point they're like, oh my God, there's a killer. And they gotta go back to Trent's house to tell everybody what's happening.
Meanwhile, Trent's fucking
Brie.
That was a
the
great
coolest,
sex scene.
Like when they're fucking, he's like, dude, he's like, your tits are, your tits are stupendous. He's like, they're so juicy, bro. And then he's like, your tits should be in a goddamn tit show. Like, I was like, a tit competition. That's when you know you've reached the upper level.
And actually, all this time we thought that he said, your tits are so juicy, bro. He says, dude.
Yeah.
He calls her, he's like, your tits are so juicy, dude, which is one of the funniest lines from any of these fucking movies ever. But they're in there having a fuck marathon.
Said stupendous.
And I know for a fact that this is when Michael Bay walked out. It was that fucking scene. He was like, oh, I'm fucking done. Which, dude, you're Michael
It's Friday
Bay.
the 13th.
Like, come on, just because someone actually is revealing what you hint at constantly, you're gonna get pissed. But anyways,
there are no explosions.
but he's full on with it. He doesn't give a shit. In his eyes, she's out there fucking him across the woods like it's a fucking field day. But then you got the two cool guys, as I like to call them, that are just hanging out.
The Asian
None of
dude.
them are getting laid,
I don't know
and
who
he
they-
had a chance to get laid because she came up to him first.
But she burned his lip on purpose.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. She burned his lip, and he gets pissed, and he breaks. He's like, "You broke my uncle's table, bro. What the fuck? You better fix that."
This is a favorite heirloom.
And I like those two guys. Those guys are the likable characters of the movie because they just came out there.
Of course
to
they're
get
gonna
fucked
die
up.
though. You know they're gonna die.
Yeah, he goes out to the shed, and he did the exact same thing I would do if I was at some douchebag guy who I didn't like, house or whatever, this lake house, and he goes out there and he finds this whiskey. He's like, "Fucking rich people suck."
Yeah, dude, that
He's
guy
drinking
had
it.
some great whiskey.
He's playing some fucking Wayne's World. He's like, "Game on!" And then Jason obviously comes out, and kills him, and it's kind of an ode to the other movies, the way he kills him.
The
'cause
screwdriver.
through the throat.
And that was slow mo. Like
Yeah.
you could see it going in. That was a really good
Gnarly.
shot. That was a cool scene.
Gnarls Barkley.
One of my favorite death scenes though came after the dude gets killed in the garage when. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. The black dude that goes outside to investigate because his boy is out there still, and he's the only cool guy. Like, I'm not gonna leave my friend fucking roasting out there by himself.
Yeah.
While you all you other motherfuckers are gonna call the cops. We can't go outside. But he goes in the garage and he fights Jason for a little while, and then he's running. But Jason takes a fucking axe and throws it at his ass. What I like the best about this scene that Jason has been practicing at camp with the tomahawk throwing.
Well, you saw him in 4, dude, with the fucking Aaron Rodgers flick of the wrist knife.
Look at that flick of that wrist. But yeah, he throws it, kills the motherfucker. Before he kills him, he's dying. He's screaming for his friends to come help him. Again, like you said, using him as bait, getting them out there. That's the first time, beyond the bear traps and stuff that Jason's already used, he's using another technique to get people outside so he can fucking murder them. He turns him around and kicks him on the fucking on the wood stand, and it has an axe go up through his chest. That was a cool, and it wasn't because it was the most spectacular, like I said. It was just the idea that Jason was smart enough to use that as a tactic.
Yeah.
When we get really fucked up, though, people are gonna start dying soon. We're getting towards the end of the movie. So Bree has kind of a unceremonious death. She gets suffocated to death and then thrown on a fucking deer antler when Jason breaks in to the home that they're all hiding out in. But there were cool moments that, he's sitting on the rooftop. That was badass. That looked great. When the cop shows up and he jumps behind him and he shoves a fucking poker through his eye. That was cool.
He goes through the door at the same time.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
But Bree's dead at that point. Trent runs out in the middle of the fucking road and he's a shitty shot. He goes, "You're a terrible shot, Harry." And he's been shooting whatever.
Yeah, Jared Blair's like, "Give me the fucking gun, you piece of shit."
So he kills him by throwing basically the last, what you see of Trent on the back of a tow truck.
That was good.
And he drives away.
That was good though because it lasted long. Because Trent shows up and there's a tow truck and you don't know it. You're like, it's like
maybe
he was doing very good last night. Is Jason driving or what's going on?
There's no way that Jason was
you
driving.
find out it's just this old fucking dude, and then Jason fucking shows up behind him and he kills him. Maybe you want a little bit more for Trent's fucking douchebag death scene, but he does hold that knife in him for a long time.
Yeah.
And then throws him on the spike for him to drive off with. So. Pretty good death for Trent.
But then, after Trent's dead, then we get into the fact that again, you know, Supernatural, my man, and Flash Girl, what's up? Go and find Jason's house, and they hear Whitney screaming in the basement.
It all kind of tails off from there.
Really, at that point, you're like, okay, they're tying it up as quick as they can.
77-minute long chase.
So Jared, not Jared, I was gonna call him Jared. His name is Jared in real life, but Clay finds Whitney in the basement. They rescue her. They're trying to make it out of this fucking Viet Cong tunnel, and I mean, Jason comes down. He's like, "Who's in my fucking house?" Like, I mean, he was pissed. The surprise kill though that comes is the Flash Girl gets killed. I didn't think that she was gonna die. Like, I thought she was gonna make it out with them.
Yeah.
They're trying to crawl up this little tunnel to get outside, and she gets stabbed, pulled back, dead, and then it's just Clay and Whitney trying to make it out. And various things happen. They make their way to the barn, which is an ode to part 3 or 4.
And by the way, there's a nod to Friday the 13th Part 2, where at some point you're in Jason's basement and you do see the wheelchair there, which to me was a nod to Wheelchair Dude from Part 2.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
But we went to the barn. I think that's part 4. Maybe it's part 4. I'm pretty sure.
There's a barn in like 8 of these movies.
I think it's part 4. That's
There's always a fucking barn.
Yeah, it is part 4. I think. No, it's part 3. It's part 3, I think, where he gets hung and he takes his mask and goes, eh. I think that's part 3. I think that's part 3.
There's multiple barns.
Yeah.
A lot of barns.
But they make their way into the barn. Jason comes in. At that point, the guy, Clay, has a pretty cool fight scene with him. And there's a wood chipper that's going. And Jason's going to fuck his face up. He's going to make meat grinder. He's going to make, you know, goddamn...
Meat burritos.
Meat burritos on Taco Tuesday.
Living on the land.
But finally, his fucking sister gets
survive.
over her bullshit and tries to help him out, wraps the chain around his neck and throws it in that fucking wood chipper, and then Jason's choking to death, and then they wrap it over the fucking, again, the rafter, and he raises up, and that is an ode. That is literally at the barn in part 3 with him choking to death. That was a cool thing, a nod back.
But what should seem like a cooler scene is how they finally kill him, is that the wood chipper thing or whatever it is ties him down, and ultimately it's grinding his fucking brain.
Well, she does stab the machete down.
Yeah, she does the final girl thing and stabs him, but the wood chip, that's what supposedly killed him, was the thing like grinding through his brain.
Makes sense.
And it's a cool idea.
I have so much on my mind.
It just it seems like it should be cooler than it is, but there's something just lacking about it. I don't know, like,
well,
I don't know.
At the very last scene, they do the classic, again, you know, we know Jason's not dead. I mean, come on. You're not going to end that series like that. They're sitting on the dock, because you would, I guess. They drop the body in the fucking lake.
Why move the body
I don't even know.
Why touch
That's
it?
a crime scene,
Why do
motherfucker.
anything other than call every fucking police station in the fucking local area?
They got a dust for fingerprints.
Yeah, why did they pick up they untied the chain, removed him from his death, and dumped him in, why?
Give him peace.
Fucking, why would you fucking do that?
I don't know, but they did drop him.
It's like when the police show up, they're like, okay, he murdered everybody, you killed him, what happened? Well then, we took his body, and for no reason whatsoever, we decided to dump him in the lake.
Freddy died by fire, Jason by water.
This is gonna be jump scare day in the movie.
They're sitting around, they're talking, or they're not even talking.
Fresh tastes better, Mentos.
It's a Mentos commercial at that point.
Fresh tastes better in Crystal Lake, it's full of light.
Crystal Lake, the fresh water, the fresh water. But yeah, they're looking around at the sunset, thinking about like dreams. And then fucking Jason pops out of the fucking the boards and then pulls her under, you know, or grabs the girl and pulls her, and then we have the credit scene.
Bullshit ploy.
It's again, you know, it's a bullshit ploy, but again, it's a fan service. It's like we know how the first one ended, the second one, Cotton Eye Joe, but
originally there was rumors that the sequel was going to take place soon after this.
It should have,
and it was going to be during winter, which fucking Jason during winter in the snow, sassafras. David Hasselhoff.
That motherfucker be wearing
visceral.
He's gonna be wearing fur coats.
I would like that very much.
He'd be wearing like mink. I think that the sequel would have been. I think it would have done well.
It should have
because there was a good positive.
It was good enough to make a sequel.
The positive response on this was good enough. And by the way, the guy that played him, I liked him. I thought he was a good, intimidating, fresh Jason, and the fact that they caused, you know, I know that people had issues with it, that he ran and he
I found the running.
I thought the idea was cool, and I thought it made sense. it's kind of like the same argument that people had with Dawn of the Dead came out, that the fact that Zack Snyder decided to have zombies run, it just adds a little bit more element of fear into it.
Here's the thing though, like if you're gonna go through the natural progression, eventually Jason's not supernatural, but then it becomes supernatural. In this, they kind of jumpscape everything, whereas he has his goddamn brain mushed,
but
right?
he still comes up from the dead.
But then he comes up, so he's supernatural, but you don't know why. Like there was no weird.
Like, he comes up there, he's like, you know, there's a $5 on my pawn charge. If you go fish, it's $5.
It just doesn't make sense for like, you know, future titles, but they still could have done it. Like, it was good enough. Like, I give the movie, I give it a 7.0, dude. I give it a 7.0 because I liked it. It was a good reboot. If you're gonna have a Michael Bay company do a Platinum Dunes reboot of a movie, I feel like it was as good as it could have been. Like, it's missing stuff. It feels weird. It's too glossy almost. It feels strange. They did a couple strange things with Jason, but
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. At the end of the day, dude, the opening is one of the coolest ever. The Jason was pretty good. I don't love it in the same way I love like the natural Kane Hodder like 80s and 90s feel Jason.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit too it almost felt CGI'd and fake. But I liked how brutal he was. He never looked bad. It didn't feel natural enough for me as a Jason, but I still enjoyed it as a movie. It still had some good kills to it. It was decent in every aspect of the word, and I really wish that they would have taken this and jumped off and started making new movies off of it.
I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5 myself. I think it was one of the more visceral, more brutal Jasons that I've seen on camera. And the fact that he lived off lands and he set traps and he used bait, he used people as bait, I fucking thought that was phenomenally good. I thought that was a good idea to start there, to start why Jason is what Jason is, and then use that as a springboard to maybe go into something else if they ever decided to do that. And you know what, at the end of the day, we don't have anything else. We don't, you know, if they had used this as a base, and given us sequels off of this, I'd have been fine with that.
They had him die a human's death, but then brought him back supernatural with no bridge.
It doesn't need one. Hey, they put him in water, that was fucking elemental, and that's magic. Have you never played fucking World of Warcraft?
Jason's afraid of water. Haven't you seen Jason versus Freddy?
Freddy's afraid of fire, too.
Comment down below, would you guys have rather seen them use this as a jumping point and done the winner Freddy versus what we have now, which is fucking nothing, or wait until they reboot it again or do whatever they're gonna do with it? Comment down below, let us know what your all's thoughts on this Jason movie was, the reboot, Michael Bay's Platinum Dunes, all that shit! We love your fucking faces, and if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some sick, goddamn! Wham up in.
If they did a fucking winter version of Jason coming back, though, wouldn't he be Leonardo DiCaprio in that one movie?
The Revenant?
And the Revenant, he'd just be fucking like, I'm gonna get revenge.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie. We watched it. We watched a movie. Yeah. You know what? We did a review. We watched a movie. We watched a movie.